I remember when I was in my late teens, really when I first began to take my faith seriously. And I think most of us have an experience where we decide to make ourselves completely available to God, or we surrender, you know. And I remember having one of those experiences and then coming home, and my brother asked to borrow my golf clubs, and it was sort of this really stark experience, because I'd been at church and I basically said to God, all right, God, I'm 100% available. I surrender everything to you. I'll do whatever you ask me to do. And then I came home and my brother asked to borrow my and I loved my golf clubs. And I'm like, all right, God, everything but the golf clubs, you know. My brother was a real hacker. There was no confidence. I had no confidence that these golf clubs would come back in any usable form if my brother took them to play golf with. So I think in our spiritual life, we do have this scenario where we give everything to God, or we surrender completely to God, and then we take it back little by little. And during Lent is a great time for us to reflect on where are we at with that? You know, how much have we taken back from God? How much are we surrendered to God? Today we're talking about Mary and her beautiful surrender, her wholehearted surrender. Our culture is a culture of control. Our culture is a culture that tells us, you know, we need to be in control. We need to be in control of things. We need to take control of things. And when you think about control, I think it's a good lesson for us spiritually to think about, okay, how little do we actually control? Like, what is it that you can actually control? And when you sit with that question, and even pen and paper, and start to write down, you know, what is it that you can control? It's a fairly short list compared to all the possibilities that we encounter even in one day. And so we're faced with the reality that control is sort of a fool's errand, and that, as usual, the wisdom of God prevails, and the wisdom of God, the invitation of God, is not to control, but to surrender. And so Mary's life and her witness is an invitation to surrender to God, to surrender wholeheartedly to God, to surrender completely to God. Are you willing to surrender to God? Do you understand? Do you believe? Do you see the possibility that by surrendering to God, great things will happen?